Hey guys, Ballatw here, and I just want to take a moment to break down what we just saw with Benji in the semifinals. My man was literally out of this world, tilted before this clip, before he went on to win 2 back-to-back games to clutch up and qualify for the finals again on stream. And I just wanted to basically go over a few things that he did in the end game, and for me, how it proved that he was one of the best players at scouting in the end game and getting information, playing with awareness. So I just want to note here, he was center in 5th zone, and his entire goal right now is to hold people before he starts using his mobility forward. Very basic concept, but I do want to touch on the quick reload glitch there because he knew that he cracked the player and he wanted to get as much done. And then afterwards, he also makes sure that he always throws the crash pad on a ramp in front of him so that he can go backwards, he can shoot it if he needs to, but at the same time, it also gives you that consistency out of the crash pad. And so at this point, he's no more mobility, and he's dinged up a little bit, so he will take that time to heal, not focusing on making sure that he gets the zone very, very fast, because he's cracked and he doesn't want to have another cracked time. And then listening for any sound cues while you're going up the mountain to catch a launch pad like this just saved him so much time in so many mats because he didn't have to build up and over that. And as soon as he boxes up, he looks all the way around in a 360-degree angle. I would recommend that for anybody. And before you leave your box, especially if you're already in zone, just look out the cone, look at the different layers, actually take in that information. And then another thing that he does when he goes through these solo stairs tarps is that he has a timer. You see right there where he blocks off the front of his tarp, making it so that if he does go for this impact, he's not going to get flown in on by a launch pad, especially as the zone starts to overtake. Some people will launch and land in front of your box to find a quick impact. So has a timer on that. Once he's at the front of the zone, he doesn't need to focus on it if there's another opportunity that arises, but he will end up blocking eventually. And then another thing in this end game, not necessarily informational or scouting or anything like that, it's the way that he always has something to do while he's in the air. He's either spraying his AR or charging up his shotgun, because other than that, it's wasted time. So if he can get a big crack while he's midair, more power to him. Other thing to note is when you land on other people's crash pad, you can choose where you're going. You can choose where you're landing on the crash pad, and you don't have to break through a box, so it bring you farther. Just prioritize that, even if you have crash pads. Coming up, look at this little solo tarp that he does into a full box, and he starts looking back. He edits his stairs. There's a lot of room to work with, even though he only spent a little bit of materials rather than full tarping. It gets that entire situation where you have that full box to work out of, and that's better for impacts because you have more space, but it's cheaper, right? And he works at it every time. That's a staple of Benji. Just consistently doing those quick stair tarps into follow-up. This sequence of events is kind of interesting and weird at the same time because he does full tunnel on this kill, with 100 mats to get this elim, and he goes full piece control on it, but at the same time, he's always blocking his back. He's always aware, especially when he gets on a new layer. Yes, he's phasing in at the same time, so it's kind of a twofold situation. But here, he's still listening. While he's chasing this guy, he makes sure that he's listening. And he also is aware, I don't have the ammo to continue chasing, but he will find you eventually because of how aware he is and how he's tracking you. He needed that impact around 100 mats, and he went for it and got it. Very important that he didn't really go earlier than that, unless there was a big opportunity like the edit down before. But at this point, he got back into the game, and he's aware of his mats again, going into the cone and not overspending, not holding that turbo build, and not spending this last piece of metal to just basically place a wall where you're not even blocking yourself. This gives you that room to actually place a build if you need to. The entire goal for him now is to look back in his old builds, his old tunnel, the way that he came through, because he has edits there. And as soon as somebody's coming out of zone, which there will be, especially in these stacked games, you will find an impact. And back again, he's at 150. And he has some room to work with. Finds another little hole, and at this point it's just crazy Benji things, but everybody popped off on Twitter. I mean, this is ridiculous. Notice how he builds out a little bit in the center of zone, but his goal is to play on the back of this edge because there's going to be low HP players, there's going to be other opportunities, and you don't want to put yourself in the spot where you're going to get sprayed by a height. There he's listening, and he hears the other guy breaking through his wall, and he easily takes him out. Another one. That one was kind of just a third party in the end game. Almost gets this guy, but he'll follow up anyways. And the last elim in this game is completely ridiculous. Getting up into that box. That one the guy's building in wood. This final 1v1 situation is something that Benji's very good at, closing out these games. Crash pad up to heights. And this guy has no chance. actually the God player, and he goes on to win the next game with 7 elims as well, probably in the same fashion. I'll see if I can take a look at that one, but he quals for finals after being completely tilted, and it just proves, man, it doesn't matter how tilted you are, you can always come back.